Right now, as you watch this, your brain is listening to every conversation in the room around you.
The ones you think you're ignoring. The ones you'd swear you can't hear. You're not paying attention to any of them, Kaid, until someone, somewhere, says your name. And instantly, you hear it.
Most people assume you just happened to catch it. You got lucky.
Your ears drifted to the right place at the right moment. But that's not quite right, and the real answer is far stranger than you'd expect.
Because to hear your name in that noise, your brain had to be listening to all of it.
Every voice, every word, the whole time. You just weren't allowed to know. In 1953, at Imperial College London, he gave it a name that stuck: the cocktail party problem.
How does a person in a loud room, surrounded by dozens of overlapping voices, follow a single conversation?
To find out, he built an experiment.
He put headphones on his subjects and played 2 different messages at once, one in each ear.
Their job was simple: follow one, ignore the other. And they could do it, easily. They repeated back the message they were told to follow, word for word.
Then Cherry asked them about the ear they'd ignored, and they had almost nothing. They couldn't say what the message was about.
They didn't notice when it switched from English to a different language.
Some didn't even notice when the speech was reversed into meaningless garble. As far as their awareness was concerned, that entire stream of sound had never existed. So the early explanation seemed clean. Your brain has a filter.
Out of the flood of sound hitting your ears every second, it selects one channel,
Lets that one through to your awareness, and blocks the rest.
A scientist named Donald Broadbent turned this into a formal model in 1958. Attention was a gate. One thing gets in. Everything else is stopped at the door.
It was elegant. It was simple. And it was about to fall apart.
Because there was a problem hiding inside Cherry's own results, and it took another scientist to drag it into the light. In 1959, a researcher named Neville Morey ran the experiment again. Same setup. 2 messages, 1 ignored. But this time, every so often, he slipped the listener's own name into the ignored ear. And they heard it. Not always. But roughly a third of the time, the person would stop and look up and report they'd heard their own name come from the channel they were completely ignoring.
The channel they couldn't tell you a single other thing about. Sit with what that means.
If the filter truly blocked the ignored ear Hank 10, if that sound was really stopped at the door town, then nothing in it could ever get through, your name included. The fact that your name did get through proves something unsettling. The door was never really closed. Somewhere beneath your awareness, your brain was processing that ignored stream the whole time,
listening to it, checking every word against something. And only one kind of word was important enough to interrupt you.
This is where a psychologist named Anne Treisman rewrote the entire model.
In the 1960s, she argued the filter doesn't block the other channels at all. It just turns them down. Everything you're ignoring is still coming in, Desaid. Quieter, weaker, running in the background, at a volume too low to reach your conscious mind. She called it Attenuation.
Not a gate that opens and closes, but a dial that lowers some signals and raises others.
And here's the part that matters. Some words have a permanently lowered threshold.
They're so important that even a whisper of them, buried under everything else, breaks through.
Your name is the loudest of those words. You don't decide to listen for it. The listening never stops.
But why your name? Why that word, out of every word you know?
The answer is salience, Kant, how much meaning your brain has attached to a piece of information. And almost nothing in your life carries more meaning than your own name.
It is the first word most people learn to recognize.
It's the sound that's been pointed at you your whole life, every time you mattered to someone.
Your brain has heard it tied to you tens of thousands of times. So it builds a kind of permanent tripwire around it. A standing instruction, running underneath everything else.
If this pattern of sound ever appears, drop what you're doing and report back immediately. You are never not scanning for it.
Even in your sleep, your name is more likely to wake you than almost any other sound. And then comes the strangest finding of all.
You'd assume the people quickest to catch their name must have the sharpest, most controlled minds. The opposite is true.
In 2001, a team of psychologists led by Andrew Conway tested exactly this.
They measured each person's working memory capacity, but how well you can lock everything else out. Then they ran the name experiment, and the result inverted everything you'd expect. The people who heard their name in the ignored ear were the ones with lower mental control.
The people who could truly focus, Band, who could hold the door shut, Mation, often didn't hear it.
Think about what that's telling you. Hearing your name across a noisy room isn't a sign of a sharp mind catching something.
It's a sign of a leak. It's the part of you that couldn't keep the rest of the world out. The interruption you feel as a little spark of recognition is, underneath, a small failure of control. Your attention didn't catch your name. It sprang a leak, and your name fell through. So here's what's actually happening every time it occurs. Your brain is taking in every conversation around you, all at once.
It's quietly processing words you'll never consciously hear, checking each against what matters to you. Most of it is turned down so low you'd swear it isn't there. It's quietly processing words you'll never consciously hear, checking each against what matters to you. Most of it is turned down so low you'd swear it isn't there.
And the one moment you become aware of any of it
is the moment the system decides you need to know and reaches past you to make you listen. It wasn't luck. It wasn't luck. It wasn't your ears drifting to the right place.
It was a machine running underneath your awareness your whole life, monitoring a world you ignored. Which leaves one uncomfortable thought.
You believe your attention is a spotlight tight. You point it where you choose.
And what falls outside the beam simply isn't there. But the beam was never the whole story.
Everything in the dark around it is still being watched, still being read,
still being judged for whether it's worth pulling you toward. You don't decide what you notice. Something underneath you decides pay beef and only tells you after it already has.